Rejoice, rejoice, Immanuel shall come to thee.
I'm very excited about Christmas, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Christmas, which I know might seem unoriginal, but I'm actually very excited to talk about this morning. Matthew 1:23 says, "Behold, the virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and they will call him Immanuel," which means God with us. And I think sometimes we kind of forget the significance of what that means. God with us. When I was growing up, my dad loved music. He loved music so much, he would come over sometimes from the recording studio and he'd bring a song that he had just finished recording, put it on the speaker system in the living room, and we'd sit there and listen to it. And if you know my dad, he'd get emotional. As he'd listen to the song, he'd tear up because the song was just so beautiful. Well, you know what? Something that makes me tear up and get emotional is music. Dad got emotional, I got emotional, and I still do to this day. Dad loved speed, loved power, loved a good car. When he was young, he got a Super Beetle, and he souped that thing up with a turbo and a couple other performance parts, and he could beat about any hot rod out there. He said they'd pull up beside him and look over at him a little bit with disdain, and he said when the light would turn or whatever they would do, he'd take off, and he said he'd leave them in the dust pretty often. Mom talks about the turbo release valve. You know how like when the turbo winds up and then you hear the psh. She loved that sound. I love that sound too. Because it was just like Dad's powerful car was so awesome. And so growing up with Mom and Dad, their love of music, Dad's love of cars, I have the same kind of loves. My grandpa bought this black bumper Plymouth Acclaim with a V6 engine in it, and he talked a lot about that engine. I forget if it had a Mitsubishi engine or something. It was some kind of special engine that Grandpa thought was very special, and it could burn out. It was front-wheel drive, and when he'd take off, especially on a turn, he could make the front wheels spin, and that was just so cool. One day, he took me and a bunch of us over to Amishtown Road, which is a nice straight road, and we stopped the car at the end of Amishtown Road. I was in the front seat, and we took off to see how fast his Plymouth Acclaim could go on that Amishtown Road. I love speed. Grandpa loved having fun. Another thing Grandpa would do, he had this station wagon with an emergency brake that would lock up the back wheels. And he put that emergency brake to good use. So we'd be turning in somewhere, and he'd pull the e-brake and make the back end slide around as we came flying in somewhere. Grandpa just loved to have fun, with a car. And I love to have a little fun too, and I sometimes have a little too much fun. We won't talk about how I've, damaged some wheels on my car with having a little too much fun. Growing up, also, I was known as Fighter Cat. My sisters gave me that lovely nickname of Fighter Cat. It's not because I love to fight. We can say it was all on them. It was not me. But no, actually it was me. I love to cause all kinds of problems. I love to have just general stirrings of discord in the house. That was something that I loved to bring. So Mom would go shopping for the groceries, and my sisters would beg Mom to take me along shopping because if I stayed home, it was not going to be peace in the house. And so it was like, take Fighter Cat with you. Please, Mom, take Fighter Cat with you. And so me and Mom did a lot of the shopping when I was growing up, and we got a lot of time together going out and going shopping. To this day, I'm still her favorite child, and I was back then because of that. So if you're wanting to find a way to get in, what's that? Thirdborns, exactly. We know how to cause trouble and be favorites. So anyhow, I would go shopping with my mom, and Mom loved people. She would always make a point to have conversations with people in the grocery store, the people, like I talk about this all the time, when you're going through the checkout lane, make sure people feel welcomed and loved and cared for, and like you see them as a person. Mom modeled that every single day that I went out shopping with her. And I actually had the pleasure of picking up the Kenworth, the old Kenworth. Mom and I flew out to South Dakota to pick that thing up, and we drove the whole way back. And all along the way, wherever we stopped, Mom was talking to people, seeing how their day was going. Nice to meet you. And I was like, that's where I get this from, because I do the same thing all the time. I love making people's day, just like Mom did. One last story here. I'm talking about God with us, and I know you might not quite figure out how this is all going there, but Grandpa would love to take us to Meadowbrook Farm Market almost every Saturday. And we'd go there, and we'd walk all the way through, and down at the end, there was a little stand that had apple dumplings. And we'd always get apple dumplings. And man, Grandpa loved apple dumplings, and I absolutely love apple dumplings, even more than Grandpa does. Emily makes a really good apple dumpling, right? She made those? Oh man. So if you want a good apple dumpling, you missed out if you did not get in on those. But basically, the people that I did life with, they influenced my life. That's what I'm coming to. God with us, I got to live life with Mom and Dad. I got to live life with Grandpa. And because of living life with them, I am a different person. Mom and Dad did not tell me I need to love music. And it was like a rule in our house that you must love music. And so if I want to be a good Hurst, I'm going to learn how to love music. Or if I'm going to be a good Hurst, I'm going to learn how to enjoy a fast car or a good engine, or how to enjoy talking to people or love apple dumplings. There were no rules that I had to love these things. Why do you think I love those things? It's because I loved Mom and Dad, and they loved me. I loved Grandpa, and he loved me. And so when you love somebody and you do life with them, you want to do and love what they do and love. Make sense? So I'm curious if God is not more interested in doing life with us and having that kind of a relationship. That's why he says, Immanuel, God with us, instead of us following a bunch of rules or not having God in our life at all because we're just done with that and living a lonely life either way. I actually think that that's what God was going after and is still going after. Grandpa has passed away. I moved out of Mom and Dad's house. And so those people that influenced me when I was a child don't influence me as much as they used to. But the person who influences me the most, you want to guess who it is? That's right, Sarah. It better be Sarah. And it is. And guess why? I do life with Sarah every single day, many hours in a day, and the more I do life with her, the more she influences me. The more I become like her, and the more she becomes like me. We even are starting to look like each other. I'm shrinking, she's getting taller. She's not growing any facial hair yet. I'm probably going to lose mine. That's the direction this will go. But honestly, the person that I'm doing life with, I'm becoming more like that person. I used to not enjoy the 4 seasons out of the year. And when I met Sarah, I used to say, I hate summer and I hate spring because spring means summer is coming and summer is too hot. I hate it. And that was my general attitude. But Sarah has a love for all the seasons and doing what you can in each unique season. Guess what? I'm the same way now. I love each season. Yes, there's like fall, still my first love. I still love that one more. But I love all the seasons. I used to not enjoy trying new foods. And Sarah loves food. She believes that you can take basically a trip or a travel experience by eating different food. So if you eat Indian curry, it's like you traveled to India and you got to taste all these amazing things. If you eat, what's some of our other food? Okay, Indian curry. We'll just leave it at that. But if you try these different foods, I was going to say sushi. That's what it was. There would have been a day I would have never wanted to eat sushi or sashimi, which is like raw fish. But Sarah loves these things. And all of a sudden, guess what? I love them too. Because I love Sarah and I want to be more like her because she's super cool. So I guess what I'm saying is I think God with us is more about us having a relationship with God. And out of that, we do what God would want us to do. We do what He does. We love what He loves. God loves people. We love people. God has a way of living that is honoring to others and honoring to ourselves and honoring to Him. We do the same. And it's not because my parents told me that I must love music that I try to love music. It's not because God says that I should live a certain way that I try to live a certain way. It's because I actually have a relationship with Him and I love Him. And Jesus said that we should become like little children, which often sounds like, come on, we're supposed to mature and grow up. Come on, grow up. What do you mean become like little children? But if you think about the stories I was telling as I was growing up, I looked up to and admired and respected these people who influenced my life. And I think that's what God is saying. Become like little children, look up to me, respect me, have a relationship with me, and I will influence your life. I will change your life. Jesus said, come to me and follow me. That's all He said. Like when Jesus came on earth and He invited people to follow Him, it was just, follow me, live with me, do life with me, see how I live. Become my friend, and I'll become your friend, and life is going to change. So I kind of think that's what God's getting at. He wants to be like a father to us, where we live in a relationship with Him and our life is forever changed. Yeah, I'll tell this story. I was trying to decide. So the other day, I was having a bit of a pity party for myself because something happened in my life that felt really hurtful. I was feeling sorry for myself, and sometimes when I'm feeling sorry for myself, I'll just go sit down in a quiet place and go talk to God and say, God, this is terrible, and I wanted to have a really good pity party. I'm not joking. A mature man like me wanting to have a good pity party. Please tell me I'm not the only person who likes to feel sorry for themselves. Kind of stepping out on a limb here. I am the only person. Oh, shoot. Anyhow, so I was sitting there, and I was inviting God to my pity party and wanting Him to come and say some nice things to me. And you know what God said to me? Why are you having a pity party? But He said it in a really nice way. Like, why are you having a pity party? And God went on to speak to me and just show me that when things happen in my life, He kind of highlighted over the years how I go to pitying myself. Instead of facing the fact that, yeah, that was a disappointment, that hurt, I forgive the people who hurt me, who probably don't even know they hurt me, and then moving on and like getting on with life and living a rich and full life, I like to sit in that and like just pity myself. So that is one of those things, I use that example to say, living life with God, if I was not living life with God, God would not have had a chance to speak that to me and say, look, Jason, there's a better way to live. You don't have to sit around pitying yourself when things go wrong in life, because things are going to constantly go wrong. People, well-meaning people, are going to hurt you from time to time, and that's just how it is. So let's work through that, let's forgive them, and we can move on to having a better life. That's the reality. Those kinds of situations are ongoing when you live life with God and you allow God to speak to you. And I know this got all preachy, but I just want to say that's the exciting thing about Christmas. Immanuel, God with us, He's here today. He's involved in our lives if we want Him to be. God never forces Himself on anyone. So if we want to just try to follow the rules or we want God out of our life, either way, no relationship with God is what that equals. If you don't want a relationship with God, it's going to be a lonely life. But if we live our life with God, it is a completely different life. It is full of richness. And the last thing I'm going to say is people ask me sometimes, Jason, you talk about God speaking to you. Does He talk to you like out loud? Or like how do you actually hear God speaking to you? And I want to say God speaks to us all in a way that works for who we are and how He wants to speak to us each individually. Dad had different relationships with each one of us children, so my relationship with my dad was unique. And I want to say the same for God with you. So don't limit how God can speak to you. But for me, it's as if God said something standing right next to me, but I never heard it through my ears, but it is as clear as day in my mind as if He just said it out loud. It's in my thoughts. It's in my mind as if he just said it. And now we misunderstand each other from time to time. I can say something and you hear me say something completely different. So when people say, God said, they may also, just like we misunderstand each other, they may also have misunderstood what God was trying to say. So don't throw out what somebody said that God said, and then maybe it's not actually exactly what God had said because of that. Because we misunderstand each other, people also misunderstand God. I can look back through my life and see times when I jumped to a conclusion on something I felt God was saying, and it wasn't exactly what God was trying to say. But I want to say, God is a loving Father who wants to speak to each one of us and have a relationship with each one of us. And that is the exciting part of Christmas. For me, that is the most exciting part. And that is what makes life for me totally worth living. It makes my life so much richer. And I know a lot of you or all of you could probably say the same. But I just want to say, let's stop and think about Christmas this time of year and say, what am I maybe missing? Or what is it about this season that is special that I want to get back to or live more into? And I will say, I'll be the first to say this. I am human, and sometimes Sarah and I, life gets busy and we stop having as much time to spend on relationship with each other. And after a little while, it's like, we'll talk to each other. It's like, man, I miss you. We need to hang out a little more and just have fun together. And stop just working and like almost living side by side and ignoring each other. That happens. Anybody else have that happen? Yeah, with your kids, with your wife, it's like you get so busy, you forget about the relationship part. And I want to say the same thing happens for us in our relationship with God. We can get so busy, so wrapped up in life, that all of a sudden it's like, wait, I haven't really hung out with God and spent time with God like I should be because I'm missing him. And it comes from that point of like, or that place of like, God may be saying something to me and like, Jason, I miss you. Or me saying, God, I miss you. I'm sorry I got so busy. I want to hang out again. It's the same exact thing. It's the same kind of relationship. So what I wanted us to do this morning is just pause and think about our relationship with God and think about what we have in front of us. Sometimes what we have right in front of us we take for granted because it's there, we can have it all the time. I can talk to Sarah anytime I want. I can go for a walk with her anytime I want. We can sit down and have a lovely dinner anytime we want. But do we do it all the time? No, we don't. We don't do it nearly as often as we should. And we're missing out because someday, maybe I'll pass away or Sarah will or something's going to happen, something's going to change in life, and I'm going to miss what I had right in front of me. So let's not miss what's right in front of us, and that is an incredible relationship with God. And I want to say this, if you don't know what that is like, just ask God to show you what a relationship with him could be like. And it's as simple as just saying, God, I want to know you better. I want to hear you speak to me. And taking time to just sit and be quiet. That's where it started for me, is just sitting, being quiet and saying, God, if you want to say anything to me through talking to me or talking to me from somebody else, that's another way God speaks to us is, if you're hearing somebody say something to you and it's like, did Dad tell you to tell me that? Have you ever heard that or felt that where it's like, did somebody set you up to tell me that? Because that sounds like Mom telling you to tell me. It's that kind of idea too sometimes when God speaks through the people around us where it's like, wow, all of a sudden I can tell as, Tim is talking to me and he's telling me something or Sarah's saying something. It's like, oh, I can see God saying something. I can feel it coming through that. It's also in those kind of things. So God can speak to us through so many different ways. But I just wanted us to take a little pause and say, yeah, God is with us. And we get to live in that reality. Makes life so amazing. And I know many of you know that. And if you don't, I just want to invite you into that and say, it's amazing. It is incredible. You don't get to do life alone and being lonely. I'm going to end with this. And then my sermon, my Monday morning, that should have been a Sunday morning sermon, is over. Matthew 11:28 through 30. Are you tired, worn out, burned out on life or religion? Come to me. Get away with me and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. And this is something I do on occasion. I'll take verses that mean a lot to me, and then I'll paraphrase them as if God is speaking it directly to me in a way that really fits my life. So I did that. I'm going to share it with you. Jason, come and be with me. You are worn out and tired from life and its troubles. Sit here with me and rest by my side. Choose to constantly learn from me how to live life by being with me, instead of living a hard, lonely life on your own. I am kind and good, and I love and care about you. I'll take care of you and show you how to live, and you will find a life that is filled with rest and meaning. That's very personal. I don't often share those things with people, but that is often what God calls me back to. I'll get so, like I said, so busy where I'm all of a sudden doing life on my own, and then God's like, come on back. Let's do life together. Remember? Let's do life together. I'll take care of you. I'll show you how it's done. So, Immanuel, God is with us. And for me, that is the most wonderful meaning of this time of the year.
Oh come, Immanuel, with ransom captive Israel, that mourns in lonely exile here, until the Son of God appears. Rejoice, rejoice, Immanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. By your advent here, disperse the darkened clouds by night, and death's dark shadows mirror heavenly light. Rejoice, rejoice, Immanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. Israel, Israel. Oh come, Immanuel. Oh come, Immanuel. With ransom captive Israel, that mourns in lonely exile.